Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the science fiction film, Mr. Nobody. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. Humanity has defeated mortality in 2092 thanks to the unending cell rejuvenation. The 118-year-old Nemo Nobody, Jared Leto, the last human on Earth, is on the verge of passing away as the entire world watches in amazement. They talk to Nemo in order to learn more about life before quasi-immortality. While Daniel Mays, a journalist, interviews Nemo about some of his recollections, Dr. Feldheim, Alan Kurduner, a psychiatrist, utilizes hypnosis to help Nemo recall some of his memories. Nemo gives inconsistent claims as he is prodded. He describes his life in three major moments: when he was 9 years old and his parents were divorced, when he was 15 and fell in love, and when he was 34 and an adult. All three develop into a variety of potential consequences. Nemo argues that youngsters anticipate every event in their lives even before they are born. The angels of oblivion obliterate a child's memory before conception. But because the angels have forgotten about Nemo, he is able to remember several scenarios for his own future. At age 9, he is presented with a choice at a train station as his mother boards a train while his father waits on the platform. He is able to board the train in one instance, but stays with his father in another. Living with Mom, Nemo, a disobedient child, lives in Montreal with his mother, Natasha Little, and Harry, her new partner, Michael Riley. He falls in love the moment he meets Anna, Diane Kruger, a new girl at his school. Anna invites him to join her and her pals for a swim one day at the beach. After insulting her friends, Nemo seldom speaks to them again. In a different version of the narrative, Nemo tells Anna that he cannot swim. They become close and fall in love. Anna turns out to be Harry's daughter, and the two stepbrothers start having an extramarital relationship. They make a lifelong commitment to one another. Anna moves to New York with her father after Harry and Nemo's mother separate, and the two lose contact. Years later, Nemo cleans pools in the hopes of stumbling upon Anna by happenstance. When they finally cross paths at the train station, they are instantly able to identify one another among the onlookers. After a romantic reunion, Anna says she's not ready to start dating someone right away. She provides him with her phone number and requests that he call her in 2 days so they may meet at the lighthouse. However, a heavy downpour renders her letter unreadable, and he misplaces her phone number. Every day, Nemo waits at the lighthouse for Anna, but she never shows up. In a separate plot, Anna and Nemo are parents of two. Nemo narrates instructional DVDs at a television studio. He strikes a bird one evening on his way home, loses control of his vehicle, flies into a lake, and drowns. Existence with Father Nemo continues to live with his crippled father, Rhys Ifans. He works at a store and writes a science fiction story about a trip to Mars during his downtime at home on the typewriter. He meets Elise, Sarah Polly, during a school dance and develops feelings for her. Nemo visits Elise's place a few days later but finds her there with her 22-year-old lover. He speeds off on his motorcycle out of frustration, has an accident, and ends up in the hospital in a vegetative state. Nemo cannot move or speak, but he can perceive the world through his senses. At his bedside, he notices the reunion of his parents. As this chapter comes to a close, Nemo struggles to recall how his fingers moved on the typewriter keyboard and eventually succeeds in lifting a finger. Nemo converses with Elise at her home in yet another parallel timeline and discovers that she is still madly in love with her boyfriend Stefano. Nemo does not give up and continues to reassure her of his affections. A few years later, after finally caving in, they are married. Elise perishes in an accident on the way home from the wedding in one version of the plot. Nemo retains her ashes even though he had pledged to scatter them on Mars. Nemo transports Elise's ashes to Mars in the future and scatters them around the planet's surface. He meets Anna on the spacecraft returning to Earth. The ship is sunk by meteoroids before they get a chance to exchange many words. He works at the same television studio in a different version of the story, but his assistant drowns. He recognizes Anna, who is the widow of the assistant. Nemo and Elise are married and have 3 children in another storyline. However, due to Elise's borderline personality condition and ongoing despair, their marriage is unpleasant. Despite Nemo's efforts to repair their marriage, she suffers from hysterical outbursts and ultimately deserts him to go after Stefano. In contrast, Nemo decides to marry the first girl he would dance with at the school prom after being rejected by Elise. He dances that evening with Jean, Ling Dan Pham. Nemo promises to marry her and be prosperous as he transports her to his house. Despite being prosperous and having 2 kids, Nemo is dissatisfied and uninterested in his life. Nemo departs from his family and hands all of his belongings over to Gene. He now makes all of his decisions by tossing a coin, goes to the airport, poses as Daniel Jones, and is picked up by a waiting chauffeur to be transported to a hotel. Nemo is killed in Jones's hotel room as he is taking a bath, and then his body is discarded in the forest. The adult Nemo repeatedly awakens in a bizarre environment dominated by Argyle patterns, running through all the different directions his life may have taken or has taken. This environment seems manufactured, like a set from a movie, and it frequently seems to influence his other life. He eventually finds a wooden framed house that is in disrepair and abandoned after following hints that he finds spread throughout this metropolis. He comes across a DVD player that is connected to a television. The 118-year-old Nemo speaks with the 34-year-old one in the oddly interactive video. The younger man doesn't exist, he explains. In this alternate reality, Nemo Nobody was never born and his consciousness is imprisoned in an undefined state of limbo. He claims that he is living the narrative from its conclusion and that he must survive until 5:50 a.m. on February 12, 2092. Epilogue: Mr. Nobody informs the journalist that he and he do not exist before he passes away. They are just ideas in the 9-year-old Nemo's head who was forced to make an impossibly difficult decision at the train station. The little youngster investigates each option thoroughly in an effort to choose the best choice. Finally, the boy decides to choose a third course of action, not to choose at all. He runs away from both parents and into the future. He and Anna somehow end up blissfully reunited as a result of this unclear decision. Old Nemo is back in the movie on his deathbed. When the predetermined time comes, the entire globe is listening to Mr. Nobody's final words. The universe appears to stop expanding and time appears to go backward. The universe stops expanding and starts to contract instead. Nemo's life becomes simpler as a result. He is able to go back to his early years, witness his parents' reconciliation, and be with Anna. When the 118-year-old guy realizes that his younger self has finally found his one true love in life, he awakens and cackles gleefully. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.